You're sitting at your desk, staring at a boring email or an empty document. Your hand reaches for your phone before you even decide anything. Scroll, tap, tiny hit of, okay. 5 minutes later, the email is still untouched, but you've checked 3 apps and grabbed a snack. By the end of the day, you feel busy and wired, but strangely, nothing important really moved. There's a way out of that pattern that doesn't depend on massive willpower or a full detox. But before it works, you need to see how your mind keeps getting trained to bet on the quick hits. Most days start with something very simple. A small discomfort shows up. Boredom, mild stress, a moment of uncertainty. Then a familiar option appears: your phone, the fridge, a notification, a tab to refresh. It promises a tiny, fast, good feeling. You take it. You scroll, you check, you snack. The discomfort dips for a moment, so your mind quietly learns, this works. Do that often enough, and it becomes automatic. Your attention starts living in short loops, while anything slow and meaningful feels heavy, distant, and strangely hard to walk toward. Think about someone like Jamie. They open their laptop intending to work on a certification course that could help their career. Within minutes, they're checking messages, then news, then shopping sites. The course tab is still open, but it keeps losing the silent battle for attention. Here's the part most people miss. The problem isn't that you like pleasant things. That's normal. The problem is how certain cues have been linked, over and over, to tiny flashes of relief, and how those flashes slowly steal motivation from bigger goals. One mechanism is letting cues grab you. A vibration, a red dot, a memory of chips in the cupboard, and your attention follows before you consciously choose. The cue has been paired with relief so many times that it starts driving the car. Another mechanism is mixing up urge with satisfaction. The pull toward checking or snacking feels intense, almost important. But the actual feeling you get after doing it is often flat or even a little empty. The mind keeps chasing the pull, not the outcome. A third mechanism is repeating quick rewards even as they feel worse. You keep refreshing the same app or taking just one more bite, hoping the next round will finally feel right, like it used to. The loop stays alive, even while the payoff shrinks. And a fourth mechanism is quietly training your motivation around what's easy and instant. Every time a quick hit wins over a slow task, your mind learns effort is optional. Tiny rewards are guaranteed. Over weeks and months, long-term projects feel heavier not because you're broken, but because your attention has been conditioned elsewhere. Jamie knows this feeling. They end a day having touched a dozen small pleasures, but advanced nothing meaningful. They go to bed wondering, why can't I stay motivated for the things that actually matter? Is less than hay shown. 2 hash is greater than, so people understandably try to fix this with blunt tools. They plan a clean weekend with no apps, no fun, just pure productivity, hoping it will reset everything in one shot. It usually backfires, and the old loops return, sometimes even louder. Others try to rely only on willpower, while keeping every old trigger within arm's reach. The same phone layout, the same snacks on the counter, the same open tabs. They spend the day wrestling urges instead of gently retraining them. A third common move is self-blame, calling yourself lazy or broken instead of seeing a trained pattern of attention. The shame then becomes another uncomfortable feeling, which ironically pushes you back toward more quick relief. Instead of fighting yourself, it helps to work with how this loop actually runs. That's where a small, repeatable ritual comes in, not to erase urges, but to slowly aim them in a different direction. Step 1. Name the loop. You notice the urge as it appears, the pull to check your phone in the middle of a task. the sudden need to walk to the kitchen when you're slightly stuck. For a few seconds, you don't move. You quietly label it in your mind, quick hit, or short loop. No judgment, just a tag. Picture this at your kitchen table. You're halfway through paying bills online, and without thinking, your cursor moves toward a social tab. You pause, inhale, and say in your head, quick hit urge. You don't have to be eloquent, just clear. Expected effect. That simple naming creates a tiny gap between the urge and the action, so you're not fully on autopilot. Step 2. Cut the thread. In that small gap, you gently break the usual sequence. Instead of following the urge straight into the old habit, you insert a brief pause and swap it for something low friction that leans toward a real goal. At your desk, you feel the pull to open a shopping site. You stop, name it, then cut the thread by standing up, taking a few steps, and opening the document you actually meant to work on. You tell yourself, just 3 focused minutes, not a whole hour. Expected effect. Over time, your mind stops assuming that a certain cue must always end in the same quick reward. Step 3. Reset on repeat. You don't wait for big wins to feel any reward. You start pairing small goal actions with small, healthy pleasures. Tea after 10 minutes of focused work, a favorite song after finishing a paragraph, a short stretch after sending a tough email. Imagine starting a boring spreadsheet. You set a 5-minute timer, do nothing else, then let yourself enjoy a short walk to the window or a sip of something you like. No phone, just a simple, clear, "This felt good after I did that thing that matters." Expected effect. Your motivation gradually shifts. The mind begins to expect real, satisfying moments on the other side of meaningful effort, not just inside the quick loops. Jamie begins trying this during their certification study. Each time the urge to check messages hits, they label it, take a breath, and promise themselves a small reward after 5 more focused minutes on the course. The content doesn't suddenly become fun, but it becomes more doable. To make this ritual easier, it helps to watch for a few signals and link them with very small mental gestures. First signal, the sudden, almost reflexive urge to just check something while you're in the middle of a task. Gesture. Silently say, quick hit, then take 2 slow breaths, feeling your feet on the floor. Visible consequence. Sometimes you still check, but sometimes you don't. And that tiny sometimes is where retraining begins. Second signal, you notice you're already mid-scroll. With no clear reason, you open the app. Gesture. Ask, in a neutral tone, is this helping any real goal today? Then, if the answer is no, close the app once and physically stand up. Visible consequence. Your body movement marks a clear end to that loop, which makes it easier to walk back to something that matters. Third signal. A hard or boring task sits in front of you, and your mind starts searching for escape routes. Gesture. Promise yourself a very small reward after 5 focused minutes. Set a timer and begin even if you don't feel like it. Visible consequence. You prove to yourself that action doesn't require perfect motivation, and the reward links to effort, not avoidance. Here's the twist. None of this requires you to give up every quick pleasure. It's more like shifting from an all-candy attention diet towards something that includes actual meals. Quick hits can still exist, they just don't run the whole day. You may also notice that some quick hits start to feel clearly empty once you shine more light on them. After a stretch of scrolling, you might pause and ask, how did that actually feel? Not as a way to scold yourself, but as a quiet reality check. Often, the mind learns faster from that honest comparison than from any rule. So what could this look like today, in a very small, realistic way? You could pick just one common cue, maybe the urge to check your phone while working, or the pull towards snacks in the afternoon, and run the 3 steps with only that. For example, this afternoon around 3 p.m., you feel restless at your desk. The usual pattern is stand up, grab something sweet, distract yourself for 10 minutes. Instead, you recognize the urge, name it, quick hit, take 2 breaths, and walk to get a glass of water. Then you return and do 3 minutes of the task in front of you, promising a small reward after. That's not dramatic. It won't feel like a huge transformation. But that one quiet adjustment sends a new message to your mind. Relief and satisfaction can also come from moving a real thing forward, not only from escaping it for a few seconds. Over days and weeks, these tiny swaps begin to add up. Quick rewards don't disappear, but they lose some of their automatic pull. Slow, meaningful actions start to feel a bit less heavy and a bit more connected to real, lived pleasure. These thoughts and urges may still show up many times a day, but now the question isn't how to erase them, it's how to respond in a way that slowly trains them toward what matters. And as you experiment with that, you're not doing it alone. This is a pattern many minds share, and many minds can gently retrain.